It's been just within the last couple of minutes that police have verified with us they are looking into this as a double homicide. That's what they're investigating right now. They told us when police arrived here earlier in the evening, that's when they found two people shot and killed. That this should mean something, a sign declaring the North Branch Library a safe place. Instead, a shooting took place right here in the lobby. You can still see the blood there on the floor, and the shooting sent one person to the hospital. A rally against hatred. Many of them from different organizations, but saying that they're all here for the same message, and that message is a message of acceptance. You can see right now about 70 people starting to move here, 150 people here in front of City Hall, and they told us that they are standing together against hatred, many of them holding signs like this one that say "Immigrants Make America Great." Not only were people's cars spray painted, but police were able to connect the dots and find out that one of the suspects spray painted his own garage. Now, two people are behind bars, and the people closest to these alleged vandals are not surprised. Also told us that it was right there on that front porch where he took his last breath. Now, even though this is not the first homicide this year in this area, the neighbors are still shocked and worried because they say that the victim was a nice older guy who kept to himself. So when the gunman found out he didn't have cash, he asked the driver for his car. That's when the driver made a quick thinking decision to just slam the door, put the car in drive, and drive off. Holly Springs Police Chief telling us that he's never seen destruction like this before in his career. Right now, two confirmed fatalities. One of those we know is a 7-year-old child. Talk to me a little bit about how does it feel to see this type of effort and people coming together during this time of need. The goal is to clean up homes like this one behind me to make sure they're not a hazard and to salvage what is left. The good news for Holly Springs residents is they won't have to do this cleanup alone. This map shows where each homicide has taken place in the city of Memphis. It's chilling because it shows just how spread out these homicides are throughout the city. Well, we spoke with one woman whose one Christmas wish is for these killings to stop. This Memphis grandmother knows the number to Crime Stoppers by memory.
528 cash.
It's the only way she believes she will get justice for her little boy.
I've cried so many tears.
Her grandson, who has received dozens of college recruitment letters. She has opened each one with the knowledge that he will never attend. Cameron Harris, a straight A student, was gunned down last year on Christmas Day. The 15-year-old was killed on his walk home and was just blocks away from his house. Robinson says the pain she endures is amplified each time another homicide is recorded in our city.
When you see somebody else has gotten killed, I automatically think about my grandson.
This detailed map from MPD shows in 2016, so far there have been 3 other murders close to where Cameron died. It also shows where 217 of the 222 homicides have taken place. They are spread across the city, with the only respite appearing between Sam Cooper and Quince Road, from Goodlet out to Germantown Parkway. Areas around the Rains and Airways precincts have recorded the most.
If they were big and bad enough to kill a 15-year-old child for nothing, they ought to be bad enough to turn themselves in.
Robinson hopes Cameron's murder mystery will soon be solved, and she is praying for one other Christmas wish.
And I'm just believing God that it's going to come to a halt.
There have not been any arrests made in Cameron Harris's case. There is a $1,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. If you have any information, you are urged to call Crime Stoppers. That number, 901-528-CASH. In Memphis, Sasha Jones, WMC Action News 5.
WMC Action News 5 investigator Sasha Jones reports.
4 smiling faces suddenly gone. The woman who gave them life, accused of taking their lives. And a 7-year-old survivor who reportedly witnessed it all.
Do we have any other units responding to this location?
Exclusive dispatch audio chronicles what happened inside of an apartment at 4749 Southern Hills Drive on July 1st, 2016.
According to the suspect's son, the suspect is still inside with the 2-year-old.
Shelby County deputies responded to the home of Shanynthia Gardner after a neighbor reported Gardner's 7-year-old son ran from the apartment screaming his mother had stabbed his sister.
To make entry into the residence.
This affidavit documents what deputies discovered inside. 6-month-old Yazi and 3-year-old Sia, lifeless in the living room. In the bedroom, the bodies of 2-year-old Savi and 4-year-old Talon. All 4 children had cuts to their throats. 7-year-old Dallin, the only child who escaped. Deputies say Martin Gardner, the father of the 4 children who died, received a phone call from his wife, who allegedly confessed to the killings. Has she shown any remorse?
It's not something that I can comment on. I know that she's very distraught over the death of her children.
Attorneys Craig Morton and Shannon Davis are representing Gardner. And for the first time, we're getting an insider's look at how this case may unfold.
Are you Miss Gardner? Please be advised, ma'am. I do need to know your name.
So far, Gardner has appeared confused and incoherent in court. And Morton says a medical specialist will have to determine if she was mentally aware the day her children were killed.
This case is probably going to be determined by what medical experts believe.
The WMC Action News 5 investigators have learned Dr. Philip Resnick has been retained to evaluate Gardner and give his expert opinion on her mental state. Dr. Resnick has worked on dozens of high-profile cases involving parents charged with murdering their children. He served defense attorneys representing Casey Anthony and Susan Smith in the case of Andrea Yates, who was convicted in 2002 of drowning her 5 children in a bathtub. Resnick argued Yates was insane. Her murder conviction was overturned. Resnick also served attorneys in the high-profile trials of Scott Peterson, cannibal serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, and Oklahoma City bomber Timothy McVeigh. Resnick's expert opinion could play a key role in a grand jury's decision to indict Gardner.
The impact on her individually, on her family, on her marriage, it's just a tragedy.
In the 4 months since the deaths, family and close friends have created a protective bubble around Martin Gardner. We were unable to talk to him for this report. Few people have spoken out about the incident, but when they have,
that was a beautiful, sweet young lady.
Family and friends paint a picture of a loving mother and tight-knit family. And the children that were so close in life remain close even in death. Their plots sitting just inches apart, decorated with these white crosses, a color that signifies innocence, and the innocence of these 4 children the day they were killed. After a short stint at the Memphis Mental Health Institute, Shanithia Gardner now sits at the Shelby County Jail East Women's Facility, stuck between the reality of what she may have done.
She still is a person. Wait to see what comes out and don't just judge somebody.
And what she lost. For the WMC Action News 5 investigators, I'm Sasha Jones. All day long, we've been digging through this TBI file that goes through witness statements and physical evidence. But the most detailed part of this file may be this body camera footage. It shows a new perspective, and this camera was rolling the moment that Bratcher was killed. What you hear is the last round of shots being fired before Jonathan Bratcher was killed. This body camera footage is just one piece of evidence in the newly released TBI file on the officer-involved shooting. Charges were not sought against officers Clement Marks and Alexander Fleites, and the contents of this file may be able to answer why.
They've got shots fired. Stand by.
This footage was blurred before being released to the public. It comes from a camera of a Shelby County deputy who stopped to assist during the incident. According to statements in the TBI file, Bratcher did not stop when a MPD officer in a marked vehicle tried to pull him over. He reportedly lost control and crashed. That's when the officer says he chased after Bratcher. The officer says Bratcher shot first.
He had a pistol with an extended magazine in it.
The deputy was reportedly also chasing Bratcher at this point. He recounts seeing Bratcher point this gun, but does not know if Bratcher shot at the officer first.
I don't know who shot first us or them.
In the statement given by the officer who shot and killed Bratcher, he says during the chase, Bratcher was, quote, taking cover behind cars. And after seeing people come out of a nearby church, he says, quote, I came to a point where I had to end it and aim for his head. That was the only thing visible. The medical examiner ruled Bratcher's cause of death was a gunshot to the back of the head. And the witness statements vary on whether Bratcher had a gun or fired first, but each person does remember hearing dozens of gunshots. Now, this is only the second TBI file to be released to the public dealing with an officer-involved shooting. It's something that doesn't usually happen. In the newsroom, Sasha Jones, WMC Action News 5.
We're talking AK, semi-automatic rifle fire.
When you take a life, you can't get it back.
As Memphis's homicide rate threatens to name the city the country's murder capital, many neighbors are living in fear.
They literally sleep on the floor. They are afraid. They wish something could be done.
New technology called ShotSpotter may be the answer.
We're a very powerful tool to make police completely aware 100% of the time when and where and how many times are guns fired.
Ralph Clark is CEO of ShotSpotter Incorporated. His company goes city to city, installing microphones on everything from houses to telephone poles in the areas with the most crime. Every time a gun is fired, police have a record. Clark estimates in a city with 10,000 calls to 911 to report shots fired, the actual number of incidents is closer to 50,000.
People don't call. I mean, in fact, have you ever heard gunshots?
Yes.
Did you call?
No. But with ShotSpotter technology, he says police dispatchers can pinpoint with precision not only when the gun was fired, but also from what location and what type of gun was used. Forensic evidence police and prosecutors can rely on to make arrests and secure convictions.
I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a city see 35-50% reductions off of reported gunfire.
Detroit, San Francisco, Chicago, Birmingham, along with 87 other cities globally have already bought in, seeing the number of guns fired drop dramatically. When we asked Memphis police officials if they ever looked into installing the system, we learned MPD has reviewed the technology in the past.
I don't remember. I recall the technology after you sent it to me, but I don't remember the year. I don't remember if it was under Director Armstrong.
Mayor Jim Strickland said he remembers the technology being addressed when he was a city council member.
She wanted to know if we're implementing that, and if we're not, why. I have not heard back. Okay.
You have to figure out what the overall dollar amount of saving a life.
To cover just 3 to 4 square miles, it would cost $250,000 to deploy a ShotSpotter system here in Memphis. But that would come with equipment and training. What most cities do is only deploy the system in the hardest hit areas. Detroit was able to deploy a system on a trial basis for free. City Councilman Berlin Boyd says with the recent purchase of other crime-fighting technology like SkyCop cameras, he believes money can be found or raised to save lives.
Having technology that can address the problem is definitely something well worth it.
Especially for the people who go to bed each night in a war zone.
Lady house got riddled, and we heard it from over here, and she's about 5 blocks away. And I mean, it sounded like Beirut.
Sasha Jones, WMC Action News 5.